Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Joe and welcome to a video I didn't expect to be making. I was just at the gym, I came home and I realised there was a new TF2 update, new cosmetics guys. There's a new cosmetic case that's just been released with a bunch of awesome looking cosmetics, and I'm going to be going over every one of them, what classes can wear them, how they look, and if they're unboxed in an unusual form. I can't wait to bring this video to you guys. Without further ado, let's get into them. There's some really nice looking ones and I'm just going to be showing you how they look. So guys, the first cosmetic we're going to be taking a look at is a Demoman cosmetic called the Blast Defense. As you can see, it's this sort of helmet on the Demoman. It covers his whole head region. Really not too aesthetically pleasing in my opinion. Like it's pretty big, honestly. It kind of reminds me of the Glasgow Great Helm, I think it's called. Apologies if that's wrong, but I'm sure you know the helmet I'm speaking of. The only part that isn't made of complete metal is the visor, so it's not a bad looking cosmetic. I just personally don't like it, and I can't imagine a huge amounts of loadouts that it can go in. One thing I'd like to say actually is the Blast Defense probably can be unboxed in unusual form, and my guess is it's probably going to be a low tier unusual, just purely because the fact it's already 63 pence for its unique form on the market. It's really not too desired as far as I'm aware in terms of how the hat looks, so I can't imagine it being too high tier. So next up guys, we have a soldier cosmetic being the Flak Catcher, and as you can see it's this sort of flak jacket kind of vest for the soldier. Again, I don't really imagine this one being too high tier. Give it like a week or so and it'll be a couple ref in price. I mean, it's okay. I can't imagine it again going hugely well with a lot of cosmetics. It really depends what it sort of clips with, but I'm assuming it's a full coat sort of cosmetic, so you can't wear it with things like the cold snap coat, for example. I mean, it's quite cool. It's quite a modern cosmetic and quite sort of themed around not winter like a lot of the other soldier cosmetics are. So next up we have a cosmetic that actually kind of surprises me. It's a multi-class cosmetic available to be worn by the Scout, the Sniper and the Heavy. And it's going to be this sort of zipped down jacket that reveals, as you can see, the undershirt on the Scout. And then on the Sniper it has the Sniper badge, and on the Heavy it has the Heavy badge. And I actually think this one could end up being quite high tier. It kind of reminds me of the Cool Cat cardigan for the Scout in a way. I'm not sure if it's just me that thinks that. Let me know down in the comments guys, but I really like this. I feel like this could end up being quite expensive. It's really nice on the Scout especially. It's okay on the Sniper. I guess it's more of just an added bonus that it can be worn on the Sniper and the Heavy. I think it's quite cool on the Heavy. The big sort of Heavy badge on the sort of chest region does actually look quite nice. So I mean, it's fairly decent on the other classes, but it's mainly nice on the Scout. I'll probably end up picking up one of these when the price goes down a bit and probably using it in my main loadout. Now this next one again is actually really nice. It's actually for the Heavy exclusively. I know this one has been unboxed in unusual form already, and this is going to be the War Hood. Now if any of you guys know the Bedouin bandana, it's kind of like that, or the Sniper cosmetic that came out promoting, what game was it? It must have been... I'll put it up on the screen anyway guys. I've completely forgotten what game it's from, but it kind of reminds me of that for the Heavy. And once again, I think this is really cool. Even with the stock Heavy cosmetics, it actually looks quite nice. The hood sort of blends into the jacket. I think it's really cool. It's a nice change from the sort of heavy hats we have out at the moment. It's a nice sort of stealthy sort of cosmetic with a face mask covering the vast majority of his face and a hood. I feel like this should have been multi-class, at least equipable by someone like the Soldier. That's just my opinion though. Again, do let me know your opinions down in the comment section below. So next up guys, we have a medic cosmetic being the Field Practice. It's kind of like a Bill's hat, but instead of the sort of badge, it has a medic thing over the top. It has a medic logo as opposed to the sort of Bill's hat badge that's on the top. And it actually comes with a pair of headphones and a headset as well. So it's quite a cool hat. Again, I kind of like this one. This one should be unboxed in unusual form, I think. Fully paintable, as you can see. It does remind me of the Bill's hat. I'm not sure if it's just me that thinks that, guys. Once again, do let me know down in the comments below. But I think it's a really cool cosmetic, personally. It's a nice change. You get a headset and a sort of Bill's hat with a big fat medic logo right on the front. So this next one is an engineer cosmetic, and it's a pair of goggles. These ones really shouldn't be too expensive. It is a misc though, so if these can be unboxed in unusual form, it would be fairly interesting. It would be another unusual NG misc along with the Brainiac hairpiece and the data mining light. I think it could be quite cool if it was a misc, but if it's not unboxable in unusual form as a misc, then I really can't see this selling for a lot in its unique form. I personally don't like it a lot. I just don't really like the way the eyes look on it, but I mean, I can understand a few loadouts it could go in, especially with Robo Cosmetics. It could fit in very suitably. Now this next one, guys, they've actually come in very strong with another really nice Scout cosmetic. This is the Speedster Spandex for the Scout exclusively. I think they've done a great job, personally. As you can see, it's this sort of tight-fitting shirt that's rolled up around the Scout sleeves. It has a big sort of Scout emblem, or a kind of modified Scout emblem, I guess, in the middle of it, with the belt running across. I really like it. Again, this is a second Scout cosmetic we've seen, and I think they've done a really good job on this one. I'm really happy with it. I think this could fit into a lot of loadouts, especially with things like the tussle cap and other tight-fitting cosmetics. I like this, guys. I'm a really big fan of that. So this next one, we have a spy cosmetic, the first spy hat we've seen being the upgrade. As you can see, it's this sort of leather casing around the spy with these sort of red goggles, very futuristic in comparison to other ones. I don't really like it. Probably can be unboxed in unusual form, I'd say, anyway. If it is a hat, I'd say I mean, it's okay. I just don't think, you know, it's not too noticeable. The red eyes, of course, stand out, that's great. But it's just this sort of brown metal or leather kind of material just covering the top of his head. I'm not a huge fan of it, personally. But I can, again, it's kind of like the, it would go well with items like the Lunatic's leather, where it's sort of like a nice subtle brown leather loadout. So guys, this is another cosmetic that I'm actually very keen on. This is a pyro cosmetic, the Airtight Arsonist. As you can see, it's another sort of hazmat helmet. It does remind me very strongly of the hazmat head case, but the visor's a lot bigger and these sort of air things on the side are a lot bigger also. I really like this. It is a misc, I believe. It would be nice to see this unboxed in unusual form, a nice sort of variant on the hazmat head case. Almost a competitor, I'd say, and I'd say it's nicer. But again, I'm not too sure if it is a misc or a hat as of yet. But I'd say that's a pretty nice item, guys. Let me know if you'd prefer this or the hazmat head case down in the comments below. I personally think this is a lot nicer than the hazmat head case, but that's just me. I like how the visor looks. It's reflective in the light. I just think it's quite cool. So guys, here we actually have our first purple grade cosmetic of the case, and this one's going to be for the sniper. It's this kind of medieval helmet with this sort of sheath, I guess you could say, running down past the ears and onto the neck. So it's a very old-fashioned hat. It's called the Archer's Sterling, so I guess it could go perfectly with a sort of old-fashioned huntsman loadout. Nonetheless, I think this is a really cool cosmetic. In unusual form, I'd say this would be pretty sort of mid-tier, maybe sort of mid to high tier, just purely because, I mean, it's nice. It's a very nice sort of specific cosmetic that can only be used with the huntsman, otherwise it looks pretty out of place. With the right cosmetics, though, this could make a really nice loadout. In a complete contrast to this, we actually have a much more futuristic hat also for the sniper, being the Hawk-Eyed Hunter. And as you can see, it's a kind of pair of goggles, but it's only got a goggle on one side. It's this sort of headband around the sniper's head that then sort of strips out into a camera. And I'm assuming this is just to look down the scope with. That'll be the logical assumption to make. Again, this looks like it should be a misc. I can't imagine this conflicting with a lot of hats. Would be really nice to see this in unusual form as a misc. As again, I can imagine this comboing with a fair amount of sniper hats. It would be a nice variant on the sort of Master's Yellow Belt that we see in most sniper unusual combos. Moving on to the third Scout cosmetic of the video now, we have something called the Messenger's Mailbag. And as you can see, it's just a fat bag with the word mail on it, with sort of letters almost spewing out the side of it. It's a nice back sort of cosmetic on the Scout. We don't have a huge amount of these. It's kind of like the Dingler's duffel bag, I guess you could say. And I like it. I mean, it's nice. I wouldn't use it personally, but I can imagine a lot of loadouts where this would go well, especially with something like the Hermes. I could imagine this comboing pretty well with. So, again, it's a nice cosmetic. I think the cosmetics in this update, or this case, sorry, are actually really good. Alright guys, so here we have another Scout exclusive cosmetic. This time we've got actually the Pocket Pooling, and it's quite a unique cosmetic to say the least. As you can see, it's this sort of doll figure of Miss Pooling with a clipboard sat on the Scout's duffel bag on his back. And it's not too noticeable. I can't imagine this going for a huge amount. But it's quite a cool cosmetic. It's quite cute and not sort of like too loud or out there. And it's, you know, it's quite cool. I don't know why it's Scout exclusively though. I can imagine this going quite well with someone like the Engineer. But I guess, you know, the Scout, Miss Pooling, blah, blah, blah. You guys know what's going on there. But nonetheless, it's quite a cool cosmetic. I personally wouldn't use it in any loadouts just because I like my Scout to have 3 big noticeable cosmetics. And a small Miss Pooling doll sat on the back of it isn't really too noticeable. So here we have the Down Under Duster for the sniper. It's a pretty basic cosmetic. It's essentially just a long jacket that sort of comes down as almost a cape. It's okay. I prefer things like the Star Duster for the sniper personally, but it's just sort of preference. This looks really cool. It's kind of like with something like the old Snaggle 2 for another sort of heavily themed sniper hat. This would look pretty nice. Like, it's also got this cool sort of belt, as you can see, the slanted belt with a pistol holster on the side of it. I think that's quite a nice touch. It's a nice cosmetic, but again, I think there are nicer alternatives to be used. So here we have yet another sniper cosmetic, guys. Quite a few sniper cosmetics creeping into this part of the case. And this is the Gildan Guardian. And this is a really nice case, guys. With something like the class crown, you could achieve such a nice loadout. It's a sort of like gold cape, I guess you could call it. I wouldn't really say it. It's a very short cape, but it's this sort of like red and gold cape that goes around the soldier's neck. You get the default jacket and then the red and gold vest underneath with a nice little frilly bottom. I really like this personally. As I said, with something like the class crown, you could achieve a really nice sort of royal loadout for your sniper, and I think it's a really nice change to the sort of sniper cosmetics we have at the moment in game. It's very refreshing. So here, guys, we have yet another pink grade cosmetic, and actually our first all-class cosmetic of the game. This is the legendary lid, and it kind of reminds me of the Hong Kong cone. At a first glance, it's this sort of, it looks like a bin lid, if I'm completely honest, and it has this sort of belt tied around it, like almost like a samurai belt, I guess you could say, but it's sort of this like modern version of the Hong Kong cone that can be worn by all classes. I prefer the cone personally, but it's cool. As I said, it's a nice change to the sort of cosmetics we have in game at the moment. It's more refreshing, it's more modern, and overall I like it. I can imagine this being a nice high tier all class unusual. Very similar pricing to the Hong Kong cone. That's if, again, it can be unboxed and unusual. My prediction would be that this would be a high tier unusual. So guys, for the best hat in the case, in my opinion, we have the plumber's cap for the engineer. And it's literally just a hat straight out of Super Mario, guys. It's the Mario hat, the Mario mustache, but instead of M, it's literally just turned it on his side, and it's an E for the engineer. I love this. I think it's such a nice comical hat that Valve have added into the game. I'm really happy this has been added, guys. This in unusual form should be really high tier. I can imagine all the themes that people are going to try and force on this thing. It's just great, guys. I'm really a big fan of this hat. It's fully paintable. As you can see, the hat color changes whatever color you paint it. I'm a really big fan of this, guys. Let me know your favorite hat of the case, though. This has got to be mine, definitely. So, guys, here we have our first elite grade cosmetic, and it's a scout cosmetic. And it's called the Lightning Lid. It's a very sort of similar theme to the Flash, if any of you guys are aware of that, superhero. It's this red helmet with these lightning bolts flying off it in yellow, so a nice colour contrast there. It's really nice. I can imagine this being unboxed in unusual form and being very high tier. I think this should be very high tier unusual if unboxed. I mean, it's a really nice hat. I can imagine so many loadouts. I mean, for example, using this with the Speedster's spandex, you've already got yourself a really nice fast scout loadout. I just think it's great, guys. What do you think? It's fully paintable. Once again, it paints the actual metal helmet part, so you can paint that any colour you want, and the yellow flash stays the same. Whatever colour I just painted that, I think it must have been Dark Salmon Injustice. It's almost skin tone, so it just looks like you've got this lightning flying up from the scout's head. So, guys, one of the most extravagant hats to be added into the game, the Flash of Inspiration. It's this sort of engineer wacky hair of this sort of mad scientist has been implemented onto the engineer. It's kind of like the Brainiac's hairpiece on steroids, guys. It's this huge sort of hairpiece for the engineer. It's sprouting out of all directions, very high up. It's great. It's so comical. It's such a sort of non-serious hat. I love it, guys. Let me know what you think of it down below. This and the plumber's cap, the engineer has definitely been very fortunate in this update. I love this hat. Again, in unusual form, I feel like this would be pretty high tier. For any NG mains out there, I'm sure they would be prepared to pay quite a bit for this hat. I mean, if you combo it with the Brainiac's hairpiece, I wonder if you'd be able to see any hair underneath it. But guys, that is all the cosmetics from the new update. Leave a like if you did enjoy this video. Once again, leave your opinions on any of the cosmetics down in the comments below. I will probably do an unboxing very soon, so keep your eyes out for that. That's just about it, guys. Thank you again so much for watching, and peace.